Do you want to know my secret? Hey guys, it's me Claire and I am back again for another video. For today's video, I'm going to share with you a tool that was developed around 100 BC that we can use to encrypt and decrypt a secret message. And that tool that I am going to share with you is the Cipher Wheel, a classic example of ancient cryptography. Caesar cipher is one of the earliest known cipher that was again developed around 100 BC, and this was used by Roman Emperor Julius Ceasar to send a secret message to his generals and also to protect his military communications. It is a substitution cipher in which each letter in the plain text corresponds to another letter, a certain number of positions forward and backward the alphabet. To create a cipher wheel, watch this video. There you have it. That's how I created my very own cipher wheel. Since we already have our cipher wheel, let me show you on how to encrypt and decrypt a text or a message. Before we encrypt a text, first thing that we are going to do and we should not forget is to set an index. Index would be the beginning of our encoded text. Make sure that when you write it, the case strategy is followed to avoid confusion. To begin, let us set our index. For these three texts, I'm going to use JC as our index. So, since we already have our index in our cipher wheel, let's write it down here. Let's start to encrypt this plain text, broken vessel, and missing grace so that we can find the ciphertext. Okay, so for B we have U. For R we have K. For O we have H. For K we have D. For E we have X. For N we have G. V we have O. E we have X. For S we have L. And for E again we have X. And for our L we have E. Open parenthesis. For our A we have D. For our M we have F. For A again we have D. For our Z we have S. For our I we have B. For our N we have G. And for our G we have Z. For our G we have C again. For our R we have K. For our A we have D. For our C we have B. For E we have X. So as you can see, the ciphertext of our plain text broken vessel missing grace is U K H D X G O X double L X E T F T S B G Z Z E T V X with an index JC. Next, we move on to our "This is not goodbye" plain text. So for this plain text, I am going to use JC still as our index. So I'm gonna write it down here. JC. For this plain text, for T we have M. For H we have A. For I we have B. For S we have L. For I we have B. For S again we have L. For N we have G. For O we have H. For T we have M. For G we have Z. For our double O we have H. For our D we have W. For B we have U. For our Y we have R. And for our E we have X. The ciphertext of this plain text is MABLBL GHM ZHH For our last text, we have just BU. And again, I'm going to use JC as our index. Okay, so for this text, J corresponds to C, and U corresponds to N, S corresponds to L, P we have M, for B we have U, for E we have X, for Y we have R, for O we have H, for U we have N. So the ciphertext of our plain text just view is CNLMUXRHN. So that's how you encrypt a text or a message if the thing that you are going to encrypt is in a form of message using a cipher wheel. So since we already finished encrypting text, we now move on to decrypting a text. To decrypt or decode a text, of course, just like what we did in encrypting text, we need to have our index and to find the corresponding plain text in our ciphertext from the inner ring, and we write down the corresponding letter from the outer ring. For this ciphertext, I'm going to use DP as our index. We should also set our index here in our cipher wheel. Here is our index DP. For our first ciphertext, we have TKBAFTQEUEFQEFUZS. So using the index DP, our T corresponds to letter H. Our K corresponds to letter Y. Our B corresponds to letter P. Our A corresponds to letter O. F we have T. For T we have H. For Q we have E. For E we have S. For U we have I. For E we have S again. And for F we have T. Q we have E. E we have S. F we have T. U we have I. Z we have
Okay, so as you can see, the plain text of our ciphertext is hypothesis testing. Next, our ciphertext here is YMFTAROAPQE. So using the index DP again, Y corresponds to letter M. M corresponds to letter A. Our F corresponds to letter T. Our T corresponds to letter H. For our A we have O. And for our R we have F. For our O we have C. For our A we have O. For our P, where's P? For P we have D. For Q we have E. And for our E we have S. So the plain text of this ciphertext is math of codes. If you're going to ask me what are these two, hypothesis testing and math of codes, these two are my favorite topics in my mathematics in modern world subject. Okay, so that's how you encrypt and decrypt a text using a cipher wheel. Additional information before I end this video, I just wanted to know that you can also have a couple of indexes in your text and messages that you are going to encrypt and decrypt. Like for example, this one, thank you for watching. I'm going to be using DP as my first index. DP. To encrypt, thank you for watching. For T, we have F. For H, we have T. For A, we have M. For N, we have Z. For K, we have W. That's for our thank word. For our U word, I chose YG as our index. YG. For our Y, we have G. For our O, we have W. And for our U, we have C. Next, for our 4, going to pick FN for our third index. Okay, so for our F, we have N. For our O, we have W. For our R, we have Z. For our fourth index, for the word watching, I'm going to choose AR as our index. Okay, so for W, we have N. A, we have R. For our T, we have K. C, we have T. For our H, we have Y. For our I, we have Z. For N, it corresponds to letter E. And for G, we have X. For our plain text, thank you for watching. We have a ciphertext FTMZW GWC NWZNR KTYZEX. If you can observe, when you look at our plain text, we have letters that are doubled, like for example T from think and T from watching, H from think and H from watching again, A from think and watching, then N and here, and O. We have two T's, we have two H, we have two A's, two N's, two and two O's. But have you noticed that they have different corresponding cipher letters? Look at this one. The corresponding letter of T here in think is F, while the corresponding letter of the T here in watching is K. Unlike this one, they have the same cipher letters. If you are wondering why is it that they have different corresponding cipher letters, that's because in every word, I use different indexes. See, for our think, I used DP. For U, I used YG. For 4, I used FN. For watching, I used AR. That's it for today. Thank you for watching and I hope that you learned something from this video.